Hi, I'm Deepika, and I'm the founder of patternreview.com, an online community for sewers like you and me. I love to make knit tops, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to finish the neckline of this cute little girl's top with a strip of binding. It's so easy to do, and I'm going to show you right now. So what we'll do first is we're going to measure the neckline, and you want to measure on the stitching line, not on the edge, but the stitching line. So we're going to take this measuring tape and measure all around to try to figure out how long the binding should be. Now I'm going to be doing a 1/4 inch binding, just like right here. So for that, we need a strip 1 1/4 inches long, wide. So I've cut this strip about 10 to 20% smaller than the neckline. And we do this because we want to stabilize the neckline, and we don't want it to gape a little, which is so unattractive. So I've already cut this out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sew it into a circle. And then we're going to match it up and sew. This is how you do it. So just a straight stitch. And then we're going to pin it into quarters. I've already pinned the binding here. We're going to now pin the neckline. And we do this because we don't want to put the binding unevenly. So I just do a center front, and we do a center back, and then you match these two things together, and you get the center point. It's not usually the shoulder, but it's around about there. So we pin it right here, and then we match it up, and pin one right here. It's important to also remember that if your pattern doesn't call for the binding, you want to trim the seam allowances, because we're just going to be wrapping the binding around this neckline. So I've already done that on this top. And we're almost ready to sew. So I'm going to take this inside out, because we're going to do right sides together. And I'm matching this up with the pin. You can see that the neckline is evenly pinned. We're now going to sew. And I just have the regular foot, and we have a straight stitch at 2.5. They can ease it in. And we're going to be sewing. When I first started doing this technique, it just seemed like an awful amount of work for just a neckline. It just didn't seem like it was worth doing, but I was so wrong, because when you sew simple things, you want to make sure that you do everything right, because the neckline is something you see first. So this is sewn right now, and you can see that even though we cut the binding significantly shorter than the neckline, it has eased beautifully. So I'm going to go over to the iron now, because what we want to do is we want to press everything towards the seam allowance. I like to use a pressing hem because this is a curved area, and so I just wrap it around and use lots and lots of steam. There we go. And you would press all around. So we'll continue ironing all around the neckline, and then let's go back to the sewing machine. You see this little arm in this foot? You want to put it right at the ditch, and then you want to take a few stitches just to figure out if it's falling in the right place or not. And let's sew. We're almost done here. We're all done. We're going to backstitch and take it off. There's one final step left, which is ironing this binding again, just to make sure that it's eased in nicely. And I'm using the contrasting thread because you can see clearly here, but you can see it's almost in the ditch here, and it looks lovely. We're going to use lots and lots of steam here because we want to make sure that it's eased in and you don't see any wrinkles, but it really lies flat when you're done. And so you're going to go around and press all the way just so it lies flat. And I like to do it on a pressing hem because it's a curved surface. Now with knits, they don't ravel, so we don't have to worry about this excess fabric and how to finish it. And what I do is I take these applique scissors, and they're really helpful in case, just to avoid some accidents. You don't want to cut the fabric off. You spend so much time sewing. So what I do is just go in there and clip off the excess fabric, and your neckline is done. Now with this technique, I'm going to show you a few other ideas what you can do. If you have a cover stitch, you can use this on this neckline like I've done here. On that top, like this one, I've used the same fabric just to give it a more elegant look. And let's go back to the table here to see another little girl's top in which I used a contrasting fabric for the binding, which really adds a nice design element to this top. And finally, on this top, I want to demonstrate what happens if you cut your binding a little bit shorter. This is what happens. You see all these wrinkles? You don't want that. And want to make sure to measure everything correctly and cut the binding to the right size. And you may need to practice a few times, but it's really very, very easy. And you'll find techniques like this and some more in this book, 1000 Clever Sewing Shortcuts and Tips.